I'll skip around a little bit, but we arrived on the island at 1:30 in the morning. As we pulled out of the ferry backwards, the truck in front of us had a mishap. A frozen cow leg had slid off its hook and pushed open the back door of a truck. It slid onto the floor of the ferry, and everyone stopped but us, and stopped everyone but us from exiting. The road to the farm was dark. I had been there 3 times before, and never once arrived in the day. Mitchell left his overhead light on and read in the car. I always noticed how the trees on Martha's Vineyard grow so close to the road. Their bases make thick walls, and their branches bend above the street to create a large tunnel. In the night, it seems like a wild place, like a jungle or an abandoned basement. Mitchell had laid his belongings across the dash, pictures he had brought, notes he had written, extra layers of clothing. The light in the car projected a bright reflection onto the windshield. If I didn't focus on the road, I could easily read the journal entries he usually hid from me. The reflection of his notebook left open on June 2nd landed perfectly to the right of the road's center line, as if the 2 yellow stripes were the margins of his paper. The owners of the farm were asleep when we arrived. They left instructions taped to the door of the farm stand at the entrance of the driveway. The truck we would stay on was nicer than I had expected, and scarier than Mitchell had. There was an extension cord running from the barn to the middle of the field where we were parked. In the truck there were 2 working lamps, a hot plate, and a hot plate. It was an old food truck that had been renovated into a camper van. It had a bed platform in the back and a mattress, 2 bedside bookshelves, a small kitchen table, and a countertop with a sink that offered no running water, but the pleasant concept of function. Mitchell immediately began taking out his books. He put his Proust, Hilton Als, Woody Allen, his Capote, onto his shelf. The mattress was stained with dark purple blotches. The floor was covered in a thick layer of sticky dust and mouse droppings. The truck had no door, only a hanging bug net across the entrance. A hard wind hit the only window, a small frosted circle above the bed. I think we should clean before we decorate. I picked his books up and put them on the driver's seat of the truck, moving around his body in the 2-foot aisle between the table and the countertop, as if he were not there. I'm going to skip. When I woke up, Mitchell was outside with Catherine, the owner, mother, and witch of Mermaid Farm. The 2 of them had placed a 3-legged table behind the back of the truck, and I could see their bodies vaguely through the frosted glass, stacking bricks to support the falling corner. In the morning light, the farm, which in the darkness appears as an empty abyss of sprawling land, reveals itself as an intricate organization of endless junk. The area we would stay in was just a small clearing amidst colonies of chickens that clambered through piles of old truck hoods, fence posts, and dog cages. There was a worn-out washing machine in the middle of the cow pasture, with a shooting silhouette mounted on top of it to make a scarecrow. In the woods behind our truck was an outhouse, with a guide to holistic medicine that had an emphasis on reproductive health. A couple abandoned 4-wheelers and dirt bikes had been stripped of their engines and were propped up in the tractor shed. Throughout the property were small houses. One, inhabited by a French baker, had a large brick pizza oven that was filled with geodes. Another structure was full of guns, bullets, fish nets, and lobster cages. An old chicken coop had been fixed with stained glass windows and had a straw mattress inside. The floor of a treehouse had rotted out and collapsed, and from the ground you could see landscape paintings mounted on all 4 walls. Catherine was a dry junkie. She wore the same dust-covered khaki pants cut into capris and green t-shirt every day. From the moment I met her, she had never ceased to scare me as much as impress me. She was born into a wealthy family and had graduated from Brown University as a literature student. She bought a farm and married a Trump supporter, and I never saw them at the same time, not once. Her husband, Greg, was in charge of the raising, milking, and slaughtering of their cows, while she maintained a sophisticated system of companion planting fields. Between piles of scrap metal, Catherine had created diverse ecosystems of rare medicinal and substance crops. She raised a grove of cherry trees with grafted limbs, each branch producing a different kind of berry. She was wiry like a stray cat and had crazy eyes that looked in the direction she planned to leave, sometimes 5 minutes before she left. Her fields were sectioned off by wooden fences, sometimes 10 feet high, or just a line of sticks placed on the ground. When she took you through them, she made you follow her exact weaving footsteps, avoiding single plants growing beneath a web of weeds that she could locate as quickly as her bedroom. Mitchell would love her. I told him that. I pressed my face against the window and watched them. She must have brought mugs up, and I could see he had made her coffee. They were rifling through his stack of books, most of which she said she had read, and thought the authors were fucking narcissistic assholes. I could hear Mitchell laughing and throwing the beliefs he had built all year out the window, agreeing ultimately that every one of the authors needs to get a fucking life. Catherine had a keen ability to be brutally honest. This made you feel incredible when she agreed with you, and I could see that Mitchell was excited to agree. He was much better at making friends than I was. Something I don't think he ever understood, because I was so often drunk and confident in my drunkenness. I always knew when going out that it would be Mitchell who would make a new friend, find a common interest, or discover someone's deepest secret, and me who would leave jealous. I knew that around a dinner table, I had no passions, interests, or hobbies to discuss, and I always thought it was a miracle that he never discovered this hollowness within me. In hindsight, I would have introduced him to less people I had admired, because next to him, I quickly became one-dimensional. It goes on. I wouldn't